Okay, next is present in character and in control. And what I want you to think about that is imagine, sort of the shows that you like. What are you binging on Netflix? What's the show that you're into? And imagine one of your favorite characters. Okay? That person, you see them only in that character. You don't know them as real people. You likely don't know what that actor's like in real life. But I can look at that character and I think, wow, they're an attorney. And if you get really good comments after a mock trial, you're going to have someone, one of these evaluators, one of these attorneys or other adults in the room is going to say, wow, I really thought you were a prosecutor. Wow, I really thought you were an expert witness in tire marks. Wow, I thought you were the civil defense attorney representing this company. That's what you want. Hold to that character. There's no giggling. There's no smiling. There's no, oh my God, I can't believe I did that wrong. Let me try it again. No, you're not a student. You're not a law student. Um, you're playing an attorney and keeping character from the moment you're going in that room until you get home and you're in a safe space and you can talk about it with your friends or with others or your family. Okay, just think about staying in character. Okay, so here's a good example of a character, right? One of my favorite shows, The Wire. Detective Griggs, one of my favorite characters on The Wire. When it's age appropriate, make sure you watch The Wire. It's one of the greatest legal shows, if not the greatest shows ever made. But when I have no idea what this actress is like in real life or how she would react to situations, but I know this character because she has adhered so strictly to this character. You can give me a new fact pattern, a new situation, and say, how is Griggs going to react to this? How is the detective going to react to this? And I have a pretty good feeling. And I can get it down to almost the transcript of what she would say because she holds that character so severely and so consistently. That's you in mock trial. You're the prosecutor, you hold that character throughout. Just think, you don't act like a second year law student then. You don't act like someone in college or high school then. There's no giggling, there's no smiling, there's no, oh my God, I wish I could have done this differently. I'm having the worst day and blah, blah, blah. No, an attorney and someone who's in character and someone in that role is not going to be broken by that, is not going to lose character that easy. They're going to be in control of their character. Even the worst day in mock trial, even the worst performance in their own self-evaluation, even the worst rulings that come from a judge and so on, it's exactly as you planned it and your demeanor doesn't change, right? So think about that. How are you holding in practice, in exercises, and certainly in the actual event and ceremony of mock trial? How are you holding character? And I think about it as from the moment you're entering in the building where mock trial is going to take place, you're in character. You start crossing that street, cross it like an attorney, cross it like the expert witness that you're playing that day. And you hold it throughout. So that is mock trial ends and you want to take that deep breath and you want to laugh and you want to talk to your friends about what happened and I can't believe what that witness said and did you hear what I did and so on and so forth. Save it. Save it so you're outside the building. Save it to when you're with your teammates or when you're with your family and it's story time. There's lots of competitive energy that goes into mock trial. There's lots of great feelings that come out when you're done with mock trial. How would an attorney react? How would an actual defense attorney in a criminal case react even if they had a really good day? They're not going to laugh. They're not going to giggle. They're not going to celebrate or they're going to react like a professional. Keep that demeanor up. Keep your Detective Griggs up. All right. This one I think is huge. This is probably the biggest thing. If I say, why does someone get higher scores on mock trial? What made them stand out? Why, when I look at this particular advocate, do I say, yep, she or he, they were the best today. They were the one that stood out the most to me, the ones that present uniquely for this trial. Every trial is different. It doesn't matter if you're doing the same case. It doesn't matter if you spend the whole semester with a fact pattern. Every trial is different. You get different rulings. You say different things in opening and closing, and so do your opponents. You might have different opponents who have different themes and theories about how they even proceed in the case. Witnesses will say things differently. Judges will give you different reactions to evidentiary objections that might come differently from these opponents or maybe different opponents on a different day with the same file. It does not matter. Every trial is different. It's not a play. So a lot of times, depending on uh, when we're doing mock trial, at what age we're doing mock trial, and what variety we're doing mock trial, it can seem like a play. Everyone has their script. Everyone says it. One person stands up, says their part that they planned. The other person stands up, says their part that they planned. If you want to stand out in mock trial, you present uniquely for this trial. There are going to be parts that you memorize. Okay, fine. You're memorizing your opening statement. You better present it, as we'll talk about, as if it's extemporaneous, as if you're saying it for the first time in your conversational. So even if it's memorized, it better not look like a memorized speech. It better not look like you're reading from a teleprompter. And you're certainly not going to be reading from notes if you want to stand out. But how do you present uniquely for this trial? When something happens, when good answers come from a witness's mouth, when a good answer comes that you didn't expect on cross-examination of the other side's witnesses, when you're in closing arguments, certainly, how are you incorporating? How are you assimilating? How are you making part of your case, your presentation, that which happened in this trial? That's the key. And it's something that happened in this trial that made it different. Maybe the witness in their deposition said, yeah, the car was going pretty fast before the accident. That's the words, pretty fast. But in cross-examination today, it got better. Maybe they said, yeah, he was going super fast, and I could barely see him. Well, pretty fast and super fast, I could barely see him. That's a different answer. Now you have a different trial on your hands. You have different testimony to work with. And if you don't shift your presentation, whether it's in closing argument, at least, I stand up in closing argument. Remember when we had a chance to hear from that witness? Remember when I had a chance on cross-examination to ask the question about the speed? That witness's answer was going super fast. And not just super fast like we may think about it. For this witness, super fast where I couldn't even see them. That's how you incorporate. That's how you assimilate. That's how you make part of this trial. It might even be part of next questions. So after you saw that car going super fast, you saw the light. After you could barely see that car, you saw the other car come into the picture that you eventually got in an accident with. I might incorporate it into my next questions. That's how I present uniquely for this trial. If you want to stand out, what is different about this trial today? What's different about the answers? What's different about my opponent? What's different about the arguments that come from my opponent or the strategy? How does that change that which we planned, that which we, sort of scripted out? Less script, more dynamic presentation where you adjust. You get points in my mind if during your closing, instead of saying that which you have on your laptop, that which you had on your paper that you plan to say in closing, you say something that happened today that you couldn't have known about, right? If you say the word super fast instead of really fast, I know you were listening. I know you're presenting uniquely for this trial, and you're going to stand out in mock trial. And here's the way, I sort of think about mock trial when it's at its worst, is that it's almost like everyone's got earbuds in, everyone's got headphones on, and they kind of tap in, take their earbuds out when it gets to their part, and then they go back into an enclosed space. Everyone who's part of the mock trial should be actively listening and ready to incorporate what happened next. So we shouldn't have to look like the gentleman on the right side of the screen. We shouldn't feel like we have to pull an earbud out and scream in the side of your head so that you're able to listen. Even the littlest nuance different, super fast versus really fast. I couldn't even see the car. The littlest nuance, you're going to take it, you're going to hear it, and you're going to make it part of your case, and no one has to scream at you to understand it. That's how you're going to stand out. Lastly, you're going to present like a professional. So you're going to present persuasively, you're going to present sharing the stage with a witness, you're going to present in character and control, right? You're going to present as a professional. And this is one of my favorite images that I use in classes when I teach in law school all the time. I use it in evidence, I use it in everything. That is, when you're a trial attorney and you're in trial, you have to think of yourself as you're a surgeon, going into a procedure, and they have those little box seats that are up that you've probably seen in TV and the movies. People, when you're a trial attorney, people are watching you do your job. They're watching you do your job. And what do they want to see if it's their relative or if it's their loved one or it's someone else is actually the patient in a proceeding? Do they want to see giggling? Do they want to see laughing? Do they want to see joking? No. This is what I want to see if it's my family, my loved one that's undergoing a procedure and I'm able to look on from one of those high seats in. I want to see someone scrubbing in, preparing, getting ready, never breaking character, a professional throughout. That's what I want. The public thinks of attorneys the same way. And if you're trying to stay in character and you're trying to be an attorney throughout this entire mock trial presentation, then you should be thinking of yourself, you're scrubbing in and you're going to act as a professional throughout. Every word that comes out. It doesn't matter if you think the person on the other side, your opponent, is doing the sleaziest, scummiest, most unethical thing. You're going to communicate that to the court and you're going to do it as a professional. Your Honor, we have an opportunity to be heard. I request a sidebar. And then that sidebar, you're going to say exactly what you think outside of the presence of the jury. There's no screaming. There's no yelling. There's no banging the table. There's no the grand movements, right? And think about it in the terms of objections, right? If someone's doing something and we put it on the opponent that you're the one that has to do the objecting, they ask a question, what did the doctor say to you? And you want to object. You want to object because it's hearsay. There's two ways to do it. I either stand up and very clearly communicate to the judge before the witness can answer, objection, hearsay. So what did the doctor say to you? Objection, hearsay. And you stop. Right? The other way to do it, which I'm suggesting is not the way and not professional. What did the doctor say to you? Objection, hearsay! And you scream. Well, guess what? If that objection gets overruled, it looks like it's really bad for you. And it looks like it was a big deal that it got overruled and that they're able to ask this question. So you do everything as a professional. You keep everything in control. You keep everything in character. You keep everything within this range. And that looks professional the same way as if you're looking in the operating room and looking at a professional. As always, thanks for the credits and the slides and the photograph. Follow me, subscribe, ask for questions, make suggestions for further videos. Aloha.